we as lawyers, we work with surveyors and some other professionals. You can't do without them. We the lawyers can't go to site and know what is going on the perimeters and all of those things. The coordinates, we don't even know how to analyze it in a professional way. We can see it, we can include it in documents, but a surveyor is the person who would interpret all of those things. So you can sue them for professional negligence. If your lawyer has not done the proper job, you can sue your lawyer for professional negligence.
You can sue your lawyer?
Of course you can.
Okay.
You can. Lawyers have lawyers as well. Some people would have given money to some officials at maybe the land registry or Surveyor General's office, just take this, you don't have to come to site. And those people would also believe that they are giving them the right coordinates. The only thing is just that he doesn't want to stress us to go to site. So they won't know that the coordinate they are giving them is actually on a canal or something.
But don't you think it's very irrational of how they are bringing some houses down with people even still in the houses? As a lawyer,
I think I heard they told the developers and they didn't communicate it to the people living there.
They won't.
I guess we don't hear the stories of when they temper justice with mercy. We only hear the
Yes. And on the other hand, if you look at demolish some of these structures, a greater disaster would happen.
To buy land is not just a day's job. Like how I thought it was, like the way a lot of people think it is. Like there are people out there that they just think, oh, you can just go and
like you just go and pick up a G-Wagon or something.
Like it takes a lot of these things. It's a fantastic day to talk about real estate. Welcome to the Real Talk with BRG. I'm so excited to be your official host for the show where we talk about everything concerning real estate. Now, once it has to do with real estate, you know that we're going to bring it right here to you. And I'm not going to be doing this alone. I have my humble host with me. She's called Sarah Smiles.
Yeah, hello. My name is Sarah Smiles, your queen lady, and I'm your favorite and unique co-host on this journey through the market trend, expert interviews, and candid conversation that make Real Talk the go-to podcast for you.
All right, Sarah, thank you so much. You know, I'm so happy that we get to have these conversations and it's powered by BRG. You know, over the years, BRG has been able to stamp their foot as one of the, I want to say, largest real estate companies in Africa. Actually. You know, I was telling you yesterday, I was talking to someone in Kenya and, you know, we're talking about real estate and he mentioned, he was like, oh, do you know the billionaires' roots? I'm like, of course I know them.
They're popular.
And, you know, it's just beautiful that they get to, you know, you hear ownership and title rights, and we're going to be analyzing the importance of clear titles. So we're going to be talking about that right here on the show. But of course, it's not just Ria Abdul. I have fantastic guests right here with me, and they're going to dissect and give us all those informations we need to know about real estate and about this particular topic. So my first guest is, you all know him as Emmanuel Abikoye. He is the co-founder of Tributat and Billionaires Realtors Group, and he's popularly known on Instagram as Chief Coach of Lagos. Now, over the years, what I like about him is that he's been able to build a respectable brand for himself. He's become a role model to a lot of young people that want to get into real estate. He's won a lot of awards, both in Nigeria and out of Nigeria. He's a very busy man, so we're really humbled to have him on our set today.
You're welcome.
Welcome, Chief Coach of Lagos.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah,
How are you doing?
I'm good. Hope you guys are fine.
Oh, we're good. You can see
fine.
that we're good. We're just ready to listen to you and all your expertise.
You guys are sparkling.
Thank you.
It's nice to meet you guys.
Same here. And he's a very busy man. So once again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. And not just Chief Coach as well. I have a seasoned lawyer here with me. And he is Barrister Damola Aroyewu. Aroyewu. I hope I got that correctly. I'm Ghanaian and sometimes the names are very confusing, but Aroyewu, right?
Yes, Aroyewu. Right.
Oh, beautiful. It's nice to have you on the show. And,
It's a pleasure.
you know, he's somebody that eats, sleeps, and drinks law. He can be sleeping and you call him about the property and he's giving you the exact thing that you need to know about. And he's the lead counsel at Capital A's attorney. And trust me, over a decade in law, he's the best person we can have to have these discussions. Welcome to the show.
I'm very pleased to be here.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure
welcome.
talking about real estate.
Talking about real estate.
So, Barrister Damola, let's kick off by delving into the history of acquiring properties in Lagos, right? Considering especially the Land Use Act 1978. So, what can you tell us regarding that, and you know what happened prior to that, and what's happening now?
Thank you so much. You mentioned the Land Use Act of 1978.
Yes.
So if you look at that date, you'd agree with me that land transactions have been happening a long time before that.
Yes.
So, long time ago, the history of ownership of land dates back to strong men, warriors, hunters, and traditional rulers taking over possession of land by virtue of their sojourn on those lands. So, they passed down title to those lands to their ancestors. And a lot of them marry more than one wife.
Yes.
So once they have a vast area of land, they share the lands into different, we call them states, different states. So, and that's how title to land passes from one generation to the other. So when human beings start evolving and laws start evolving, there was a need to do a lot of things, create universities, create hospitals, create roads, and all of those things. But you'd agree with me that I can't come to Chief Coach's family and tell him that, okay, give us your own family land to build an hospital. The first thing he'll ask me is that, what about your own family land?
True.
So there was a need to create the Land Use Act and for effective management of all the land in the country, not just in Lagos State only. So the effect of the Land Use Act is that all the land in every state is vested in the governor of that state. But the governor of that state doesn't own those lands.
Yeah.
He's just a custodian of that land for for all the citizens of that state.
Yes.
So the governor of Lagos State, for example, cannot just come and say that this land belongs to me and take from A and give to B. The provisions of the Land Use Act is that if you are taking any land, exercising your power as the governor of that state, it has to be for overriding public interest. Of hospitals and all of that. So when Land Use Act came, it came to regularize the old normality of families owning land and having absolute control. So the government controlling the land on behalf of the citizens. So if the governor takes a land from a particular family for public interest, there are also rules according to the Land Use Act guiding all of that.
Okay. But I just want to follow up with you. Has there been any point where, a government official takes this land and uses it for his own purpose? Because we're in Africa.
That's where I want to talk about that Magodo issue that happened. I think that was what they did. And then the community they won rather. So I want you to help me elaborate on that. And I suppose that's when documents started raining. I feel like documentations were not happening then. Or what do you have to say about that?
So, there is a popular saying that says that where there is no law, there is no crime or there is no offense.
Yeah.
So, and the government itself is a corporate entity recognized by law.
Okay.
So you can sue the government also can be sued. You can't sue the governor because he's acting in a particular capacity. So you can sue the government also can be sued. So there are circumstances where some government officials step beyond their obligations. So that is why we have the laws, and Land Use Act had made it clear that you can't take from A and give it to B.
Yeah.
So in the Magodo case, it is exactly the same thing. Okay. There are some other cases I wouldn't just mention here. Also in Ibejuleki Axis, in Abidjan and all of those places, where the original owners of the land have won the government in cases like this.
Yes.
So the basic rule, it's what the rule everybody in real estate should understand, that you can't take from A and give B. If you are taking from A, it has to be for overriding public interest. So if the government doesn't do that, then you can go to court to enforce your rights as a family.
Yeah.
And I think that, let me just add one or two things here.
Okay.
I think my own thinking, like the government has to come in to regulate land ownership. Because if you look at the way the Omonilets, the indigenous right owners, the way they settle, and you will agree with me that in this part of the world, they used to say, if you never buy land, you never land or something like that. So everybody wants to own real estate. Everybody wants to buy land. Government has not willingly given to them to sell. If you allow the indigenous landowners to continue to sell land, I'm sure that the next generation, there won't be land for them to sell again. So the government has to find a way to put a law, an act into use that can reduce that exposure.
Yeah.
Now, no regulatory law that can reduce the power that the indigenous landowner has on this land, then they will end up selling up to your place, and the coming generations they will not have land to sell.
You know, so I heard something. Sorry, I heard something growing up that prior to the Land Use Act, a family can just come fight over a land and access it. How true is that? Do you have an idea?
One of the history of land ownership is conquest.
Okay.
So it's not peculiar to Nigeria or Africa alone. It's all over the world. So you just see a particular country invade another country and take over their land and say it's part of. So it is what has been happening from time immemorial. So those are things that the Land Use Act have been able to
regulate this, because thinking about what he said, it makes a lot of sense. Imagine these people keep selling lands. You know, what the future generation, what are they going to hold on to?
So the government have been doing a lot, but I think that we need an avenue to enforce all of these laws. Gone through the regulations. I know that realtors are obligated to register with the government before they start selling. And if they follow these regulations, everybody will be at peace. If the families don't have developers or realtors aiding them, they don't have anybody to buy from them. So they'll definitely come back to the table and do right by what the law says. Are strictly followed to the letter. No developer or no realtor or no property purchaser would take any risk of going against it. So the laws are there. I agree that the laws need to be revamped. The laws need to be reviewed. But we need to work on enforcement more than any other thing.
You know, the land titles, the types of land titles that we have. Like, just take me through them for a layman that doesn't understand.
Yeah, thank you, Ria, for that question. You know, just like Vice Damola has said, from the Land Use Act, what the law says, like, you don't just the law says. And now, I will start with the title called Excision and Gazette. You know, the Land Use Act says that the government has the right to give excision, gives you possession of some parts. Like, for instance, let's say due to your ancestral background, you have access to maybe 100 acres of land, maybe your family land, and this land doesn't have any title, and you wanted to get title. You have to approach the government that this land, we want to, for community expansion and development, we want you to give us title on this land. The government might look at it and say, okay, 100 acres, filing for apply. Then once you apply, they look at your applications and give you a decision. They excise to leave some for the generations to come, and because development is continuous. Now you can't just limit it to your own era now. Okay, we'll give you 20 acres out of these 100 acres as excise property. Because if you, and this thing is to help the community as well, because if you are to sell 100 acres as untitled land, you probably sell it cheap.
So when you say as untitled land, a land that has no name?
That the land that's probably it's freehold. Or it's under a global acquisition. It's free.
Has no legal title.
No legal title.
It doesn't have legal title and it's not committed.
Yeah.
Like the government is not committed for any public use, and you apply. If you apply, if they give you 20 acres out of the 100 acres you have, you can be able to sell at a very at a premium price. applied for excision, if the land is under global acquisition that is not committed, the government, they look at it, and it has a process. There's a survey stage, there is approved layout stage, then there's the Gazette publication. So if you can go through all of these stages and you pay all the assessment, the fees that you're supposed to pay to the government, they give you excision on your land, and we refer to that as Gazette. So once it's published, it becomes a Gazette. That you have a Gazette over your land, so you can sell to secondary buyer or whoever that you want to sell to, and of course you can sell at a premium price compared to when you're selling at as on title. And so going forward, if the Omonile are sold, let's say the Omonile sold to Vice Demolana, a land that has a CFO on it or a governor's consent on it. So that is another land title. So if he has a CFO on the land, and he wants to sell to you, maybe like it's now transferring ownership to you. You've signed all your deed and you've done all the normal and necessary things to do. Because the CFO is his own name, or the governor's consent that he has done is his own name, is advisable for you as the third buyer to put that title, register it in your own name as well. So you can also register your own governor's consent. And so that is how it's been. So if they have 20 acres and out of 20 acres they sold 5 acres, they sold 5 acres to him and he perfects his 5 acres has been registered out. So he also can transfer ownership to you instead of you coming back to your money to sign for you, because the land government will not release land to individuals. They release to communal owners, except in the case of you are applying for a CFO through a direct government allocation land, because that's another way where you can get a title on your project. Lands that are not committed, that is under global acquisition. You first of all have to buy from the family. Then once you buy from the family, you approach the government and say, okay, I want you guys to give me CFO on this land. So there's a process which you can get your CFO through, that's called government allocation. So they give you the necessary fee to pay, and once you pay to the government, and once you do all the right thing, but the person you are selling to also needs to do his governor's consent to be able to register that in his or her own name, because you can never trust people. Things might go wrong. So for you to be on the safe side, you document it as a governor's consent. So that's how the process goes. So we have basically excision. Excision is the same thing as Gazette. Excision, CFO, and governor's consent.
Okay, so could you please help identify the excision file number? We have excision in progress and we have excision. So this is to help, people, realtors especially, to identify the differences. So what's the example you can give? How does it look like in numbers?
Excision file number or excision in process is not a title. Once you applied for excision, it give you a file.
I see Barrister smiling. You want to chip in?
Say something.
It give you a file.
Oh, well, it's funny that everywhere you see title excision in process, you are processing something is not done. So it's not a title. You either have a title or you don't have.
Or you don't have.
So they give you a file, they register your application, and you get a file number. So that file number is not, you can't term that as a legal title.
That's your own.
Right. It's not complete yet.
It's not complete yet. Until when the excision is out.
Okay.
Then you have your land fully excited and gazetted, like it's published.
I understand that excision and gazette, they are the same. But is there like a slight difference between excision and gazette?
The end process of excision on its own is a process. Gazette. So a gazette, a government gazette would ordinarily have a lot of things done by the government. So let's assume that his family has processed excision on their land. Your family has processed, our family has processed, mine has processed. So those excisions might come out under a particular volume of a government gazette. So it will show the coordinates, it will show the location, it will show the name of the family and the size granted to that family. So if I want to sell as a member of the family and I want to prove that we have completed our acquisition process, I can tell you that go to Lagos State Gazette number so volume so years so. Then go to page so. You will see our family name, the coordinates and the size granted to us. Then from there it's easier for you to take a surveyor to the property and confirm whether the land we are trying to sell to you falls within that gazette. But there is really no, it's just like saying I'm processing my CFO. I have a CO, I have a file number at Ministry of Lands. But before it was that yellow card in Lagos State. So the yellow card is the evidence of that CFO. So it's the same thing. The gazette is the evidence that you have completed. It's where your acquisition is documented.
And you know, it's so beautiful because I know that a lot of people are not aware of all of this, and that's how we see a lot of people getting duped when it comes to buying land. And this comes to, I'm bringing you to this, Chief Coach. What are some of the things you need to know before even thinking of acquiring a property? The documents you need to have, the documents you need to ask for, because we've seen it a lot. Like, I know a couple of people that have been duped. They've bought land, but the land is for somebody else. They've gone, they want to start building, and they tell them that this land is not yours.
Before I answer that, there's something that I didn't mention. Another route which you can get your CFO done is through ratification. If land is free, it's freehold, then you can apply for CFO through ratification on that. There's a lot of real estate developers that are selling land now, most especially in their pay axis. It's them say freehold. And when you chart the land, probably sometimes they are committed or so. So when you are, and this now take me to your questions, like things that you need to watch out for if you want to buy land or you want to buy real estate. First of all, you need to confirm the status of the land. There are so many sorry cases, so many sorry stories.
A lot of sorry stories. A whole lot.
Like 4,000
You need to, first of all, confirm the status of the land. And how do you confirm the status of the land? You need to have a team. I used to tell people, like, there are I have 10 commandments of real estate.
We want to know. No, we really need to know.
We
need to know the 10. We want to hear the 10 commandments.
No, I will just give you, because what you asked for
from God.
Inspiration from God.
And we spent 40 days.
Inspiration from God.
You know, he kind of looks like Moses, so maybe.
Well,
the other day I look like Kojo. Today I look like Moses. Why are you helping me? So I'm going to give you the first two, and the first two is. Then maybe we'll talk about the others. Others
Subsequently,
so you guys will invite me as one of your guests. So the first one is that you need to have your. That will help you to streamline a whole lot of things. You need to have a why. Why are you buying real estate? For what purpose? Why do you need to buy this land? I said it the other day that your real estate purchase is as successful as your real estate link. So if you determine within yourself that I want to buy this land, do you want to buy it and build immediately? Do you want to buy it for investment? Do you want to buy it to live as renters for your family or your kids or something like that? Or do you want to go into manufacturing? Why are you buying? Because a lot of people just say, real estate. No. Because they just thought that, let me just buy. They are selling land in their bed, let me just buy.
It's at a cheap price.
And
it's something, and the funny part is that it's something that I will do. Okay, I've seen land is almost half the price. I don't know what I want to do with the land right now, but let me just buy it because I have the money and it's cheap. So that's the mistake. I've made a mistake already.
You need to have the reason why you are buying. Then you can't just go solo. And they say, this land is selling for 500,000 in Lekki Phase 1. You just decide to buy. You don't have a team because your team consists of your surveyor. Consists of your lawyer. You need a property lawyer. You need a surveyor. You need, depending on the type of real estate you're looking into. If you're looking into construction, then you have to also have the engineers. You have to work with. Do you understand? So the first thing to do is to confirm the title, the status of the land. Once you confirm, it either tells you oh, the land is committed for general hospital, for instance.
Yeah.
You know that this one is a no-go area. You don't go. It might tell you it falls under forestry. This land is is committed.
Yeah.
There are some acquisitions that the government has done generally. So first of all, you confirm and you go with your surveyor, pick coordinate on those sides, and send to the land bureau, the surveyor general office. They check for you. They tell you the true status of the land. Then you ask the person selling to you, what document do you have on this property? So the person might tell you he has a CFO. Then do a certified true copy for you. Once they run it for you, you confirm the authenticity of the CFO. The CFO also has other documents that come with it, like the survey and all of these things. The coordinate you pick on site, you plot it into the survey that comes with the CFO. It will show you if that particular land falls within that CFO. Let me give you a scenario that happens. A lot of people don't know that in real estate transactions, you need to be very, very careful. There's a story, though it doesn't happen to me personally.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
The way Chief Coach is laughing before he says
no one
story.
is an island of knowledge, but this one doesn't happen to me.
Yeah.
It's a friend of mine that in Ibejuleki, he bought a land and he did not do. He bought the land cheap from the family. I think he bought like 500,000. And he approached his surveyor to. I think the surveyor introduced the land to him. Now you have to be careful of your team as well. This land is committed, but there is a gazette. Like let's say this is the land is open. There's a gazette where you are sitting. There's a portion of land covered by
very close to the
very close to you. So they fly. There's something they call flying of coordinates. They pick the as a gazette land. So he went ahead and processed his CFO. He processed his governor's consent. He has his title already. Now he sold to another person, and he sold at a higher price because it's a title now. It's a premium land now. He sold to individual A. Let's use it like that. Individual A too, because he doesn't have anything. He just wants to also resell. He sold to individual B. Now at the point when individual B now want to perfect his own title. Don't forget when I said you bought the governor's consent land, you also need to. So when he gets to the land bureau and they were doing their checking, they came to the land, picked the coordinate and plotted it. They discovered that the land doesn't fall into that particular. Discovered that the land doesn't fall into that particular. And they use the coordinate of that.
The other one.
The other gazette.
To sell to him. So it now becomes yam pepper scatter. So you have been actress A actress. The original owner of the land. The original owner was just looking for the surveyor. When they called the surveyor, the guy was nowhere to be found, and it now becomes. And this guy cannot go back to the family because he bought at a very cheap price.
Wow.
Okay, I think the lawyer, you need to analyze this for me. So what is going to be the end goal of the man? At that point, what's he going to do?
Oh, well, you can't build something on nothing.
True.
So if you don't have the right title, because the title they have, that CFO, has a defective foundation. So you can't build anything on it. So if you can't hold your surveyor responsible for professional negligence, that's why I tell people that you can't do real estate without the right professionals. We as lawyers, we work with surveyors and some other professionals. You can't do without them. We the lawyers can't go to site and know what is going on the perimeters and all of those things. The coordinates, we don't even know how to analyze it in a professional way. We can see it, we can include it in documents, but a surveyor is the person who would interpret all of those things. So you can sue them for professional negligence. If your lawyer has not done the proper job, you can sue your lawyer for professional negligence.
You can sue your lawyer?
Of course you can.
Okay.
Lawyers have lawyers as well.
Are you going to win that game?
Then you can sue the lawyer.
So I'll just quickly mention it's very unfortunate.
It's really
but
sad.
this is why we should have shows like this all the time to sensitize people on what they need to do. This person you just mentioned, I'm confident that the person could have probably built a lot of housing units on it, and the person would probably not know. Now, some people would have given money to some officials at maybe the land registry or Surveyor General's office. Just take this, you don't have to come to site. And those people would also believe that they are giving them the right coordinates. The only thing is just that he doesn't want to stress us to go to site. So they won't know that the coordinate they are giving them is actually on a canal or something. So they might actually have a CFO for all.
I happen to cite survey of one of the person that they demolished the house. And believe you me, what I saw on that survey was that, you see where that canal is?
Yeah.
They put a proposed road.
Okay.
You don't get me?
Yeah.
Like, the boundary of the survey of this particular person, behind it, behind the fence, look at, you've built your house.
Yeah.
You have your fence, you have your perimeter fence.
Yeah.
To you, on the other side,
It's proposed
is a
road.
proposed road.
Road. Wow.
No, it's
And
a
in
canal.
reality, it's a canal.
So, but if you don't have the right surveyor,
Please, who do I arrest in this country? If I'm, who do I arrest? Who do I go to arrest? Please, lawyer, tell me so that I know.
if you are not a party to the anomaly,
Yeah.
then you can sue every team involved throughout the process of your acquisition.
Okay.
That is why it is important not to cut corners in getting your title, in hiring the right professionals and all of those things. Do everything to the letter.
Not to be
Yeah,
greedy.
but also
Exactly.
I wanted to say something. I don't know, maybe I'm coming from a very emotional side, and I know that the government is for the people and by the people because we put the people we want to lead us there. Don't you think that we understand that the houses were not supposed to be there, but don't you think it's very irrational of how they are bringing some houses down with people even still in the houses? As a lawyer,
So
Okay, I wanted to say I think they give them like 3 years.
no,
prior
I watched the
notice.
video and someone was
Oh,
I would beat my chest that they would have been given notice.
that's what.
They-
Yeah.
think
I
so.
can beat my
Like
chest
3
that
years.
they would have been
Yeah.
given
Yeah.
notice.
Start demolishing. They
It's
can't.
unfortunate that people have to lose their investments, have to lose their homes and all of
I
that.
think I heard they told the developers and they didn't communicate it to the people living
They
there.
won't. They won't because it's so unfortunate to say, but that is why real estate regulation at this point is very important.
Important.
Some developers themselves don't know. Some knows and are trying to cut corners.
Yeah.
You understand? So those are the two different categories. Some know and are trying to take advantage of the system. Some don't even know.
No at all.
So that's why you have to regulate so that at least you reduce the probability of things like this happening by 50% when you sensitize the people who don't know.
yeah.
So then you leave the law to deal with the
But
people
in
who know.
any way, could the government have just maybe tempered justice with mercy or something in any way?
Well,
could something
well,
have been
no,
done
no,
rather than bringing down people's
I
homes?
You see,
understand you.
those demolitions, like the one that's happening in the first act now, they are not. It's not. God can't just start demolishing all the houses in that
Yeah.
location. There are some houses that probably their fence line enter into the encroachment.
Yeah.
That they just have to tell, okay, break your fence, do it. They also, if your project is not deep into that
Yeah.
encroachment, they might probably give you some waivers.
Yeah.
I've seen cases of people that they are knowingly talking about knowing the status of the land.
Yeah.
You saw that this is a government scheme. Government has earmarked this as a scheme.
Yeah.
And when government started selling those schemes through PPP,
Yeah.
you know, some people, their houses, they have built mansions and it falls into those
Yeah.
schemes that they have to like come to government and say, yeah, this house is very beautiful. How can you accommodate me? So if they look at their plan and they say, okay, we can
Yeah.
actually accommodate it, they just tell you, go and pay XYZ amount for ratification
Okay.
while they move on. Then the other ones that doesn't have title,
Yeah.
they have to demolish them. So it's not, I won't say it's 100% that all the houses that they are, except it falls into.
Yeah.
It is deeply into that.
I guess we don't hear the stories of when they temper justice with mercy. We only hear the
Yes. And on the other hand, if you look at if you are privileged to see some of the footage from Surveyor General's office, you see that if the government doesn't demolish some of these structures, a greater disaster would happen. For example, you can't build on canals and you can't sand fill canals and expect that when there is a very heavy rain, there won't be flood.
Drainage issue. Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. And they have everything that government does have environmental consequences. So if these things are not done, it will create a bigger disaster. Flood can be.
And when all of those things happen, we still call on the government.
Exactly.
What
are you doing? The government always takes the blame.
Right.
Well, they should, because we put them there. So
right.
So there's something I wanted to say regarding, now I don't know the exact word. There is the excision, there's the gazette, there is also the case where you have like two people disagreeing, and then the judge is the one, or the Supreme Court is the one giving a title. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, yeah, I didn't. I was about going there, like things that you need to also note before. So if you have confirmed that this land is genuine, that's the CFO, the status is okay. Yeah. There are other things that you need to do. You need to do some background check. For me, you have to do some background check to see if there's dispute on the land. If there's dispute.
But how do you find out if there's dispute on the land?
Well, you have to now go through the locals.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to go through the locals, the community. Yeah. You know, you have to just put your heads on the ground to
find as much information as
possible before you make your deciding decision. To see if there's dispute or not. If there's no dispute, then you're good to go. You involve your lawyer. Your lawyers also cannot do that background check to see if there's dispute or not. So if there's none, then I think you're good to go. But if there is dispute, and maybe family A and B now fighting, they go to court. And then probably the court now decide who holds what based on evidence that you put tender. Then we have a court judgment. So the court judgment now becomes your root title, and then on that, if no one contests it, barrister, correct me if I'm wrong, then
there's no appeal.
If there's no appeal,
or let's say you won on appeal as well,
and you won on appeal, then it becomes your root title. Then governor's consent can then be perfected on.
So you can register the court judgment. You can register the court judgment. Then it has the same. It follows the same process as if you. Action.
Yeah, but you know that just listening to the both of you all talk, and I know that you guys are really good in what you do. Like, to buy land is not just a day's job. No, like how I thought it was, like the way a lot of people think it is. Like, there are people out there that they just think, oh, you can just go and
like you just go and pick up a G-Wagon or something.
Like, it takes a lot of these things, and I feel like if you don't that I didn't even know, like I would rush and buy a 500,000 naira land.
Yes.
And I'll feel like I'm the smartest person because, you know, I've done that. But another thing I want to ask you is that, can you do all of this and village people are following you and they still scam you? Is it possible? Can you get your facts right, you know, check the disputes, do all of what you've said and still get scammed? It's not possible.
Oh, well, there is nothing in this world that is absolute.
Okay.
But it reduces your risk to the barest minimum. I can proudly say that I've not done any acquisition so far for any client that has caused any issue so far.
Blow your trumpet. Blow it.
Yeah. So, and this is because I go extra mile. I would rather protect my client than take an unreasonable risk.
Okay.
If you understand. So, if you go through all of this, you'd definitely see that something is wrong somewhere. And of course, that now depends at the end of the day when you analyze all the facts and documents you've been able to gather during your investigation. Your instinct will definitely tell you if something is wrong. And what your instinct is telling you, pursue it, and you definitely see why your instinct is telling you that.
Yeah. Also, you know, there is the difference between individual. Okay, so what would you advise? Let me just go straight to asking the question. What would you advise those that are so adamant from like buying from companies and they just want to buy from an individual? because I know there's a lot of process, there's a lot of stressful work to be done. And then I used to be of the opinion that don't buy from an individual. Like, it's risky. So is there like a balance? Are there still individuals that are still genuine, compared to companies that have gone through the whole stress? I know there are some companies too that are not genuine, right? So what do you have to say about that?
So I think if you are buying from, like Chief Coach rightly said a few minutes ago, so the reason why you are buying a property would even determine whether it even makes sense to buy from a real estate company or but if you are buying from an individual, the acquisition process is entirely different from if you are buying from a company. So it all depends on each circumstance.
What are the acquisition processes?
Yeah, so if you are buying from a real estate company, the real estate company has taken over some risk. Because they've taken over some risk, so you shouldn't bother yourself about. You should be focused more on the integrity of the real estate company, their track record. You should also focus on how liquid are they, so that if anything happens, you can get your money back. So, but if you are, doesn't mean you shouldn't still do your due diligence. You still need your surveyor to check whether they themselves are not getting themselves into trouble. And also check, your lawyer should also check the documents they have to verify that they have the right to sell that property. And the contract they're giving to you, is it not a contract that would keep making you pay some hidden charges and take over some obligations that you shouldn't ordinarily take? Those are the things you should look at when buying from a real estate company. But when you are buying from an individual, you do everything from the beginning to the end. You go to the land to all the process that Chief Coach just mentioned. You go to the land to chart it. You take your surveyor to the land. You take your lawyer to the land. You have several meetings with the person you are selling to. You verify documents. You do all of those things. It's a long process.
It's a long process. But Chief Coach, buying from an individual and buying from Omonile, are they the same thing?
Yes.
Buying from who?
Omonile.
And from who?
Omonile. Buying from Omonile and an individual. Because I know that there are a couple of challenges when buying from Omonile. So, are they the same things?
Yeah, well, in this, with this our conversation, let me put it this way. Buying from individual can be a secondary buyer that has bought from Omonile.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but all of the risks we talked about must have been dealt with to some certain extent. You just need to be do your due diligence further.
That's
right?
true.
I did mention that the person that buy from the initial buyer buy from the Omonile. And that transaction was faulty from the beginning. So he, as an individual, sold to another individual.
And inherited the problem.
Yeah, and inherited the problem.
And this other individual now sold against another individual. So it was the top person.
Collateral damage from everywhere.
So the top person that now, because he now wanted to do the right thing. Though he also bought first. The transaction was...
They wanted to rip each other. They were trying to rip each other.
Assuming this third guy that discovered the problem did his own due diligence because he bought because it's a governance concern. There's no issue. Transfer money. He has already bought.
Without doing anything.
He has taken possession. So it was at the point that, okay, let me go and register this consent in my name, this transaction. Let me put it in my name. And that's where the problem now starts. Assuming he has done the right thing before he put his money. Now, getting back his money is a 50-50 thing. So he might get it back, he might not get it back. But you do the right thing first before you pay your money.
That's
so
true.
Omoniles, as dealing with Omoniles, you just like Barista said, you should be ready to do a whole lot of things.
Have you dealt with one before as a developer?
Of course he must
Well, everybody buys from Omonile from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes, now.
But Chief Coach is an Omonile as well. So. Omonile is like son of the soul, right?
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah, but Omonile in Kwara State.
He's Papa Omonile now.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Okay.
But if you're buying from the Omoniles, you just know that you should be ready to do a lot of background check, a lot of due diligence. You need to have a team you work with.
Yeah.
If you're also buying from real estate developers or individuals, you also need to do all of these things.
Yeah.
But the developers might have done some certain
They
things
meet you halfway.
a bit, so you just lash on what they have done.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, there are
less
some
stressful.
developers, like, let me talk from the angle of the Billionaire Realtors Group now, being a brokerage firm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we'll put in place in the BROG that make us to checkmate the type of developers that we bring on board. We do our due diligence, and I can tell you that I've seen a lot of people that brag themselves as developers that once they bring their products, we run our due diligence, we'll be the one to be telling them, no, this thing is wrong, this thing is not right, this land is committed. You know, some of them, they just want to have that status of the CEO or developer. They just jump into, they buy 40 properties, and when they bring in, we just tell them. Sorry, barrister. There are some lawyers as well that came out. I mean, I'm a lawyer. I've done this and that. But when I started asking them questions like, go back and do the right thing. So you can't just believe that the real estate developers you are dealing with, they have done the right thing. Then you just want to pay money. You also need to do that extra effort to.
But I also think that the surveyors also play like a key role, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Are they the ones that play like the highest role? The developers, the surveyors?
Survey is the basis.
They are the basis.
Survey is the basis of every real estate transaction. You can't do away with them. You can't do away with them. Survey is the basis.
It's like saying you want to drive a car without that. The steering is not so important. The tires are the most important part of the car. Every aspect of the car is important.
It's important.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a tongue twister with them, but before we wrap up, but quickly, I just want you to say this for a layman. I'm sure that you guys are very, very motivated, and you now understand what it takes. It takes a village to buy a property, and you need to do it the right way so that you don't go back crying later on. But I just want us to wrap this conversation up. I'll start with you, Chief Coach. Just wrap it up for a layman that wants to purchase a property. We've said a lot, but I just want you to wrap it up for me.
For a layman that wanted to buy property, based on everything that we've said so far, I would still say you don't do things. Now that you've listened to us, I think from your next purchase, you need to start getting it right. Professionals are expensive, but you need them.
Yes.
So it's easier for you to pay professionals their fees, let them run your search for you, then you save more. You not lose out if the transaction goes wrong.
Okay.
So you need to work with professionals. As a layman, you don't know anything about it. Work with professionals.
Work with professionals. There you have it.
And also, before he says his own, the difference between provisional survey and registered survey is very important, because people just write registered survey and then they are actually giving out provisional survey, right? So what's your take on that? Any one of you can answer the question. Provisional survey and registered survey, red copy.
Yeah, you can. Well, prior to now, one of the ways that you can use to know if a land is committed or not is through a registered survey. But once the land has a registered survey, it automatically shows that the land is free.
The land is free.
Right.
The land is genuine. And like before the government can register it. But now it has changed. Both committed land, committed and acquisition, and free acquisition, freehold can be registered.
Yeah.
Okay. Red copy.
Yes, you get your red copy.
Wow.
It can be registered, but if you are not privy to this information, you will end up buying a committed land.
How do we now know? Now that red copy can be committed, how do we now know when the landed properties are committed? Because we need
the status of the land.
Know the status of the land
from the roots.
It starts from the beginning.
The status, like say, involve a surveyor, pick your coordinate.
Yeah,
it's going to tell you this land is committed.
Yeah,
or this land is.
So that's why you need to pick who knows. Yeah, you have to pick like the right people.
After picking the coordinates and you see that it is free, then you process red copy. That's what I used to think.
So you don't have to. It's not as if provisional surveys are illegal documents or something. So there are times that you may want to buy about 20 acres of land for, let's say, agricultural purposes or something. And after taking possession of the land, after paying for the land, you discover that there are some areas that are maybe filled with rocks, and you can't plant on it. You don't need it. And you approach the family or the government or the individual, whoever you bought from, that I don't want this part that has rock. Remove it from what I've paid so far and give me another part that shares boundary with this land that is more fertile for my use. So if you have done a registered survey, you would have spent more money. So a surveyor would do a provisional survey first to determine the entire land size that you have access to. It might also be to check the kind of buildings you want to construct. It might also be to design your layout and see what. Then once you see that you are good with the land, then you can now register that survey plan. So it's not like provisional survey plan. It's provisional. The boundaries can change. Anything can change. But it takes a longer process to correct a registered survey.
Okay.
So that
you said something about agriculture. Can you build like residential?
Yes.
90% of the lands there are agricultural lands. You can correct me if I'm wrong, right? So, and people are building on it. So
it's not 90%.
Yeah, because you can't. I
But
don't think
it's not 90%,
it's not
but
possible.
You know, before Lagos is evolving, the whole of Lekki Phase 1 or some parts of Lekki that you see houses, they are all zoned for agriculture.
Okay.
Yeah, even some parts of this axis that we have, we are zoned for agriculture. But as development comes, they change the use. They change the use to it. So now Ekpe is used to be a rural area, but now Ekpe is now turning
It's
to
really developing actually.
very close by. So the use of land with time
changes.
Okay. You can't be talking about food when people don't even have where to sleep.
Where to sleep, exactly.
So,
I love that.
The use of land change. So it's not the whole of Ekpe is agriculture. Some are under agriculture, while some are under.
I think that's where building approval comes in, right?
No. Building approvals is for.
That's even almost the completion stage of the whole property ownership process.
That's the completion stage.
Because I hear stories like
when you want to build, you have acquired the land. You now want to build on it. Then you need to go for.
Because I hear stories like it is 100% dry land. Can my client build on it? Oh no, not yet. You have to wait for 3 years for your client to build on it. 2 years, but it's dry land.
It doesn't have a title.
Okay.
If your land doesn't have a title, there's no way you can get a building approval.
Right.
So you first of all must get the title right
before getting the building approval.
Building approval.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so
and
let's
and also, like I said something the other time, and this also will help you if you at the end of the get your building approval. Right?
Yes.
Like now, what the government does now is that proceed with title perfection or any other thing. You send that registered survey to allow they do a land information on you for you. So the land information will now tell you the exact thing. If you code the right coordinate, it tells you the exact purpose that this land is for.
I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah.
In the case where this land is committed, is for the government, and I'm coming as a developer or maybe an individual to register to have a provisional survey on this committed land. I, as a government, for example, I could easily say, this land is committed. I'm not giving you the survey. So it's just a thought that just runs through my mind. So what do you think? Like, you could easily just decline the process for those that are bringing committed land, since it's for the government, except if they want to sell it out or something.
You mean
the committed land? Yes.
In regards to the survey?
Maybe not survey, but survey part of it. At least somebody bringing a committed land to do a survey, because that's the basis. And it's a committed land, so you are declining
now
it.
Now they register it for you, then you now apply for land information before you go forward.
Okay. What's land information?
It tells you the use of the land.
Okay.
It tells you the use and the status of the land.
Of the land. Okay.
Just land information on the land.
On the land.
I purposely said that for the
All right, and let
audience,
me hear from you. You know, for a layman, he has told me as a realtor. Now let's talk about you from the law aspect. You know, as a layman outside that wants to, buy a property from a lawyer's aspect. What would you like to say?
Okay, so if you let me put a question through to you.
Okay.
So if you know someone that has issues with their site, do you just take them to a...
Yes.
So if you know someone who has issues with their
I'll
teeth,
take you to the dentist.
to the dentist, right? So a lot of people believe that a lawyer is a lawyer, but no, a lawyer is not a lawyer. So if you have issues relating to maritime or aviation, there are some lawyers who, by virtue of their practice and years of experience, they understand the nitty-gritties of aviation or maritime, as the case may be. So those kind of lawyers would be the best to approach for transactions of that nature.
True.
So there are also lawyers who, by virtue of their practice, understand the nitty-gritties of real estate.
Yeah.
So lawyers in maritime or aviation might have the basic knowledge,
not deep into it.
Not deep into it. So if you are getting any professional, you have to be sure that you are getting a professional that is vast in that particular field.
You can't use an entertainment lawyer for a real
you
estate
can't use
case.
you can't use an entertainment lawyer for real estate related transactions.
Yeah.
So the same goes with surveyors. If you are practicing in let's say Abuja, for instance, in Abuja their survey plan is called TDP. But in Lagos we call it survey plan. So if you are practicing, if a surveyor is practicing in another state, their process might be entirely different from Lagos State.
Just like CFO and RFO.
Just like CFO and RFO. So if you know a lawyer that understands Lagos practice, if you want to extend his brief to, let's say, Abuja or the East, you need to understand that you need to know whether it has in-depth understanding of what the laws are in all of these places.
Because it's different in different places.
Yes, because I'll give you an example. Power of attorney is a registrable instrument in the East, but it is not registrable as a land instrument in Lagos.
Okay.
So what we use in Lagos, what we perfect in Lagos as a title transfer instrument is deed of assignment.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in the East, power of attorney works. Irrevocable power of attorney works. You understand?
Yeah.
In some kind of transaction at Abuja as well, it does.
Yeah.
So let's assume you are using a lawyer from, I'd say, Owerri to do a transaction for you in Lagos. He'll be preparing the wrong documents for
Exactly.
you.
Yes.
Now imagine you are now using a lawyer that is versed in aviation in Owerri for real estate transaction in Lagos.
It's not possible.
You'd be messing up the whole of your transaction.
Yeah.
So get the right professionals. Take off all the headache.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
let me put something to it because this.
Drop the soup. Drop the spice. Drop the spice.
I hope it's not an attack.
It looks like
It's an attack because we get this a lot from, and thank God it's coming from you, from the legal background. We used to have issues with lawyers when it comes to transactions. Now let's say the sales part of it. Now,
Yeah.
most of the realtors, developers have issues with this. Subscribers wanting to buy into a property, wanting to buy into a project, and I say, involve my lawyer, and the lawyer most times maybe they are litigations lawyer.
Yeah.
All they know is to go to court and argue.
Yeah.
But you expect them to come and do a real estate transaction for you, to run they will mess up the whole thing.
Honestly.
And they will end up taking you, the client. Now I'm talking to you, the client.
Yeah.
They will end up taking you to projects that suits them.
Yes.
Or projects that they know that wrap your head around it and you just pay and buy, and they get their own legal fee or probably negotiate with. So you have to be also very careful with the type of lawyer you use when it comes to real estate transaction. We do have a lot of issues in our company. I've handled like 3 transactions that lawyers made the client not to buy into that project. We have our project in Ambience 1 project, 48 units, fully completed, residents living inside it now. A client or a prospect lose out of buying into that project because of the advice they got from the lawyer. And they were asking, then the land it has a governor's consent. It has a governor's consent. Not in tributate name now, but in the name of the people who bought from, which is the Atlantic nominee. And we have a deed with the Atlantic nominee that would the person who bought from Atlantic nominee. After requesting for all the documents, we gave them all the documents. We gave them the consent in Atlantic nominee. We gave them the agreement we have with this guy, and because we understand the process, we also were going to get our governor's consent in our own name. As I speak to you, the consent is out anyway. But this lawyer said he will need to see the consent before the client buy. And this is an off-plan project. The prices changes. If your client buy now at the development stage, you buy at a lesser fee. When we get to completion, you buy at the peanut price. Say, help this guy to own a house. We just initial deposit of 5 million or 3 million. Then we are doing, I think this was in 2021. Initial deposit, help him to own it now. Before you guys complete your payments, the consent will be out. It's in process. He said, no, this and that. So, and that's how the client does that. So when the consent came out, I sent to him, I sent to the client.
Because he can be petty. So because he's petty like that.
I sent to him, I sent to the client. But the client was not fighting the
lawyer.
You made me lose that.
Made me lose it.
I think he wants to be settled as well. That's mostly like what causes it.
He's just trying to protect his client.
But he made the client lose. So
I don't think so.
I sure did not beat that lawyer up.
I'm sure the lawyer will get another case for him. I guess.
Would it be as good as the one he lost? That's the conversation.
Just protecting our clients.
I'd like to ask Barrister Damola this question. So, 2 questions actually. The first one is, what's the difference between CFO and RFO? Because I mentioned it and somebody might not know about it. Also, can you please list the difference between land title and title documents? Yeah, those are the questions, and then we'll round up for today.
Let me start with land title and title documents.
Yeah.
Land title and title documents. Title documents are basically title documents are basically document that confers title. So like CFO, excision, and all of those governor's consent, and all of those. Those are
the
documents. Then if you say land titles, then you can also say, okay, CFO, excision, and all of that. That what is the title on this land? Then what's the evidence of this title? Yeah, so I think it's better to put it that way. What is the evidence of this land title?
Okay.
I think what she's asking is probably the document you get when you buy land.
Yes, because they mix it up together.
Okay. So if you process an excision, the excision is documented in the Gazette.
Yes.
Then the Gazette is the document to prove that you have an excision.
What if I'm just buying a land?
If you are just buying a land, you have you can have your contract of sale, then prepare a deed. If it is a land that doesn't have any title ab initio, you need to obtain the consent of the governor. Because of the provisions of the Land Use Act, if you do any transaction on any land, you need to seek the consent of the governor. So the consent of the governor can come either by way of excision, it can come by way of CFO, it can come by way of governor's consent. So I want everybody to know that you can't get 2 CFOs on one land. So if you run a search anywhere and you discover that there is one land that has 2 CFO, then you know there's a problem somewhere. So once the first allottee processes the CFO, what you get subsequently is just governor's consent. You understand? So that registered deed of assignment. At the back, you have all the details. You have your registration number. You don't even need to give that document to anybody. Just give them the registration number and you are good for your search. You cannot have 2 CFOs on one land. So whenever you do any search and you discover that there are 2 CFOs on just one land, you know there is a problem. So usually when the CFO is granted, any other subsequent title registration would be consent. So you are assigning the right that has been given to the initial, the original allottee. Then you can either sublease or assign interest, and the chain goes on like that. So if you say land title and title document, it's just like saying driver's license and your card, the driver's license card. You understand? You have the land title, but what's the evidence of the land title? It is the title document. Yeah. So let me just say the title document is the. So I said something a couple of minutes ago that practice in different there are different real estate practices in different jurisdictions. So in Lagos, I would just say that right of way is just more of a nomenclature.
In Lagos?
Yes, a lot of people, you hardly hear anything right of way in Lagos. What you hear in Lagos is CFO. But if you move to Abuja, you hear RFO and all of that. And that is because in Abuja, they have different area councils. One of it is Abuja Municipal Area Council that can grant title to locals to use the land for a particular period of time for a particular purpose. Then they can now still go to the AGIS, Abuja Geographical Information System, to register the title they've obtained from the area council. But in Lagos, local governments cannot grant title. So I would say that in Lagos, RFO is as good as not known to Lagos practice. But in Abuja, you tend to see documents RFO from I won't say it's. I don't think so. I don't think so, because even in Lagos, it's not every CFO that's been granted to you that you get 99 years. So it depends on the purpose for which you are being granted. But the maximum cap is 99 years. So for RFO, basically for just educational purposes, it's just the right of occupancy, the right to use a land for a particular purpose for a period of time.
And then you can then rectify
exactly
to CFO.
Right. So we could also
the ages.
Yeah. So we could also talk about in law, we could say I have a customary right of occupancy. It's a legal term that I don't have governor's consent. I don't have a CFO. I've not gotten legal title. But by virtue of my birth into so royal family, I have a right to occupy this land.
Okay.
You understand? So the government cannot take the land from me and give to you because I have the right to occupy the land by virtue of my birth.
Okay.
But for certificate of occupancy, it's an absolute legal title for you to use the land for the purpose which it has been granted for a particular period of time.
Wow.
Yeah.
The
So
certificate is different. It's the difference.
The certificate, a lot of things, depending on the jurisdiction, like I said. Right.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Such an insightful conversation. Like, I have totally learned a lot, and I'm sure that you have as well. But I'm not going to let them go without just playing a little game with them and just easing them up, because I've given them a lot of tension. They've said a lot, so I'm just going to do like a little. So this is how it goes. I'm going to ask you a question, and you need to answer.
I hope it has nothing to do with Squid Games.
No. So you're going to answer. It's about real estate, but you're going to answer as fast as you can. Okay? So I'm going to count 1 to 3, and if you've not answered before then, you failed. You drop 1,000 naira on the table. Should we go?
I'm
starting with
first.
Why? Okay, Chief Coach first. What's the biggest real estate mistake you've made? 1.
Wait, what will I say?
2, 3.
He's failed.
Okay, wait. Let's give him a second chance.
Okay, you asked
No,
the question.
wait. I'll give you a second
Coach
chance.
is Wayo man.
Very Wayo man. Okay. So I'll ask the question before I end. At 3, you should give me an answer. If not, bring 1,000 naira.
You're not asking us the question back.
You can't ask me the question back.
Nah.
It's a rhetorical question. Are you ready?
Roll tape.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the biggest real estate mistake you've made? 1, 2.
Land acquisition. You got that. Land acquisition now.
Okay, now to you. Okay, I want something very difficult for him. Have you ever cheated a client? 1.
No.
2. The fact that he wanted to think about it. Chief Coach, in one answer, where do you see real estate in 20 years? 1, 2, 3.
That's not so. You have not mentioned Dubai. No, because the question was not specific. When do you see real estate?
In 20.
When do you see Lagos real estate or Nigeria?
This man, you can be a politician.
now,
Chief
we're
Coach
in
can be a
Lagos.
politician. He can be a politician. I swear. But anyway, thank you guys so much. We'll definitely be having you on the show again. It was amazing talking to you. We've learned a lot. We're really, really grateful. And I'm sure that you all have been inspired as well. But not to worry. Next week, we're back again with another exciting topic.
Yeah,
we bring
get
you all the
ready.
next when it comes to real estate. Everything that has to do with real estate, we discuss it right here on the show. So do make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, because this is the podcast you're supposed to be listening to. You're not just laughing, you're also learning, and you're also educating yourself. My name is Ria Abdul. I did this with...
And I still remain your favorite co-host, Sarah Smiles. See you on the next one.
Kisses. Mwah.